Good day, everyone. I'm Ivan, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone to today's webinar, which is the 6 most common problems in computer system assurance and validation. I want to introduce our presenter for today, David Nettleton. Computer system validations principal, David Nettleton is an industry leader, author, and teacher for 21 CFR Part 11, Annex 11, HIPAA, EU General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, software validation, and computer systems validation. I would now like to hand over the floor to this speaker. Over to you, David.
Hey, thank you so much, Ivan, and welcome everyone. We've got a really great webinar today. It is full of information that is hard to find, even more difficult to understand. Let's talk about this webinar. This webinar describes the validation planning process with emphasis on the 6 most common problems. Let's talk about our agenda. We're going to talk about the purpose of Part 11. Why do we have it? We're going to talk about those 6 most common problems. We're going to talk about the GAMP standard. This standard is an international standard that helps us figure out what we have to do for different kinds of software, what does and doesn't need validation. We're going to talk about the system features that are the industry standards, things you need to buy, things you need to configure, things you need to make sure are working for you. Infrastructure qualification, validation, of course, is the big one, and we told you there are 2 of them. And then we've got all the SOPs. Let's talk about the purpose of Part 11. Why do we have this little 2-page law? What does Part 11 apply to? Part 11 applies to predicate rules. What has happened since the law came in? Now I want to talk about the 6 most common problems that we're seeing every day. I want you to think, do you have these problems? First of all, lack of validation for all required systems. Number 2, buying software that is not compliant. Number 3, insufficient resources for validation. Number 4, lack of validation for all versions of software. Number 5, traceability between requirements, which are different than specifications. Requirements are high level, specifications are low level, and risk. Risks are hazards, things that can go wrong, and test cases. So we need traceability between all these things. So these are the 6 most common problems that we want to avoid. Now I'm going to show you how to avoid them. So I told you we were going to talk about GAMP. Now GAMP stands for Good Automated Manufacturing Practices Forum. They're a private company and they make their money by selling standards. Category 1 says that operating systems do not require validation. Number 2 is the category that got deleted, but I still sometimes do this. GAMP Category 3 is a standard software package. Number 4, configurable software. Now this is most of the software you use. Finally, GAMP 5 Category 5 is called bespoke. Part 11 has this excellent return on investment. Okay, every dollar that you spend on compliance, you're going to get back within your first year. What does 21 CFR Part 11 actually mean? Well, it means there's 4 things you got to know. These are all industry standards. Now we're going to go 5 pages of security industry standards. So first, we always want to use role-based security. Role-based security is privileges assigned to a role, roles assigned to the user. 2 users with the same role have the same privileges. Passwords have to be complex. It just can't be simple words in the dictionary. Passwords are not displayed when entered. In place are little stars. Duh. Temporary passwords are unique. Sometimes industry standards are the same, just on different levels. Here we have inactivity timeouts on the application level and on the operating system level. Okay, last page of security. And a piece of software is supposed to be used every day, every week, every month, but isn't used for 30 days in a row. Let's talk about the industry standards for data transfer. Now let's move into audit trails. Audit trails report the creation, modification, inactivation, or true deletion of any kind of electronic record. Now let's move into how do we approve electronic records? Well, we do so with the Part 11 electronic signature. Electronic signatures cannot be modified or copied by anyone. Moving into a second of the 4 areas, infrastructure qualification, that's performed by your IT. Now let's move into the largest area. About 70% of your compliance is about validation. All validations must be done prospectively before production use. There is no longer retrospective validation after production use. Okay, so we know from GAMP that the system has to be validated from the developer perspective, software validation, which is confirmed by the users before they buy. So there are 3 validation models in the world. Developer validation uses 9 steps. Each step is a document. User is 10 steps, but we probably are only going to use 8 today because it's SaaS, okay? And I can prove to you that IQ, OQ, PQ, which are qualifications, are less than validation. Okay, let's go look at the validation documents for the developer validation model. Number 6, build notes, the user validation model. So we got user requirements. We're going to do a hazard analysis against each spec. Why is change control so important? All changes need to be recorded, but not with the same level of detail. Now, for minor changes, configuration changes, setup changes, process changes, security role changes, minor changes, patch changes, all these little things, we can do two-step change control. Each step is a document, a protocol, and a report. Now, the protocol lists the delta. A maintenance event, like I said, is things that are like-for-like replacements. It's only these things. How to manage changes. Try to make it a maintenance event. How does hosting change anything about what we said? Let's do it properly. How do we do it properly? So we're going to say the regulated company has all the liability. So let's talk about how to do it properly. Annually conduct a failover test and suffer as you participate in it. Now we're ready for the 4th area of compliance. The documents that count, that the FDA counts about, regulatory entities care about. So everyone needs SOPs, and the common problem is they don't have them. In general, everyone needs an SOP on SOPs. IT. Now, there's been this big push to get rid of IT. Quality assurance, not to be confused with quality control. Everyone uses COT software, so you're going to need 10-step. You might only use 8 of them. You're going to need to know these. So there's a 9-step validation. Here's your roadmap for compliance. You got to have your SOPs. Thank you all very much today. One of the best things to do is take one of these with a few people in your organization so that you all learn it together, and that way you're able to affect change within your organization. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thank you, David. That concludes the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day. Bye-bye.